I like what I see to a certain point. There's no doubt our defense has continued to get better, and they can. It's not like, you know, they are only where they're at now. If they get a couple guys back and get guys that, were bumped up before a little bit healthier, I think they're going to make a good run. They've done a good job so far, but it all comes down to number 17.
It's time now for Nuff Said with Bob Koshinski. Brought to you by Chef's Famous Italian Restaurant, home of the famous spaghetti parm, and WEC Radio, the Big WEC, home of the oldies. Bob's guest on this episode is Buffalo Bills Hall of Fame quarterback Jim Kelly.
Welcome back. Another episode of Nuff Said with yours truly. This will be a great one because we've got the great Jim Kelly here. We'll talk to him in 2 seconds, but we're at Chef's Famous Italian Restaurant, and it's the new year. They've got some great specials, so check out Chef's, and I don't want to forget my good friends over there at WEC Radio, one of our sponsors, Buddy Shula, Donnie Tomasulo, Joe Chili, Maria Gennaro. I got them on all the time. But ladies and gentlemen, with us today, the great Jim Kelly. And Jim,
What's up, brother?
always great to see you. Thanks for coming out. First
pleasure.
question, because I've gotten inundated with this since I mentioned that you would be on this week's show. How's the grandson? How was Christmas with the new grandson?
Well, good and bad. The grandson is doing great. Christmas wasn't so good for me because I was sick.
Oh, yeah.
So I could not get near him. I couldn't get close to him. I couldn't even freaking give him the presents that I got for him, which stacked up about that high. But no, he's doing awesome. I mean, it's amazing to see the smile on his face, to see how he's grown. As a matter of fact, he just had his 6-month checkup. He's 98 percentile height. Weight, he's about 75, which is good. He smiles, he laughs, he does all the great things. I mean, he still has some issues that he has to go through. They're still trying to figure out. But overall, he's doing great. Thank the good Lord for that.
That's great. I know one thing. The kid's not going to suffer for not enough athletic and hunting gear. I know that growing up, right?
Bingo.
He'll be well stocked, yeah. All right, Jim, the Buffalo Bills, they go down to Jacksonville. Josh Allen, and nobody knows better about the beating a quarterback can take than you. And you watched that game, and you watched him go into the blue tent twice. In your day, you just walked to the bench and...
Get away from me.
But, so give me your sense. Now, I know you don't watch the game like an average fan. You're sitting there, you're analyzing, I'm sure, what the defense is doing. So what was your take on that win over Jacksonville?
Impressive. I think everybody knew going into that game Jacksonville was hot. Their quarterback was playing, Trevor Lawrence was playing some of the best football in the league. Their defense was good. But we needed to step up. We needed some turnovers. And they have that never give up attitude that we had back in our day. But I don't want to keep referring back to our day. But I love what I saw. And personally, even talking to a lot of former players that I had, all the guys I still talk to, there's not really any dominant teams in National Football League. I mean, there are some good teams, but there's no one where you say, oh, my word, even though by watching yesterday's game, Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Texans are looking pretty good.
Got a great defense.
I'm kind of glad we're playing Denver, not Houston.
Right.
So the bottom line right now is I like what I see. I think we might be getting 1 or 2 players back, but to hit on the point about Josh, he got the heck beat out of him. I mean, a couple of them I go, ouch. But nowadays, that's protocol. Whether it's your knee, whether it's your ribs, whether it's your head, you're concussed. They have to pull you in, or they don't want. Of course, you know how the media is now. So, what you want to make sure is you get in there, you make sure that he's okay and things are going good. Even if he was banged up, which he was, he didn't get back out. He's one tough SOB.
How many undetected concussions do you think you had during your playing days?
I don't even have enough fingers or toes to count how many. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's so many games where throughout my career that I was hit pretty good and I saw stars. And there was games where you talked to Thurman. I called one play, I think, like 6 times in a row. And they did the old spin to the guy, something's wrong with him. And they found out that I had a concussion. I mean, I didn't know. But the good thing about it is the defense said, there's no way he's going to call this one again. I kept doing it, boom, boom, boom. But overall, I don't know. There's back in the day, as you well know, and I'm sure all the viewers out there know, that if you ever play sports, what they do is how many fingers do I have up? Do you know who you're playing? Do you know where you're playing? And, they say a couple of easy ones that if you're concussed, you won't know. But I was able to answer all this. Even Super Bowl, 26 against the Redskins, I got knocked. I mean, I was bad. And I would not allow them to take me out of the game, which I wind up going back in and throwing a couple touchdowns. I said, why did they knock the heck out of me in the first quarter? We might have won.
Wait, yeah, right.
That was a game where we got beat up pretty bad, but I'm not going to go into all the details where I wound up after the game and them trying to find me and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, today's game, thank God that they do protect the quarterback, maybe sometimes a little bit too much, but I know there's people out there that I've talked to, Bob, that say, they protected quarterback too much. Well, put it this way. Don't you want them to protect Josh Allen? Do you really want to see a backup, no matter what team it is? No, you want to see your quarterback in there. Yeah, I think the officiating this year has been pretty bad. I'm not going to get into detail, but I scream at the TV way too much than I should. But it's not because of the way we're playing, it's because of the officiating. But it is what it is.
Well, I posted a video, and this was in the first quarter. Josh Hines Allen just butt dropped on Allen's head after he got stopped on 3rd down. I mean, it was flagrant. Nothing was called. I wouldn't be surprised he gets, the league goes through all the video of the plays during the week. He may get fined. But that's the first time Allen went to the blue tent. I mean, it was flagrant. It was well after the play. And you're right, the quarterback position, the league is so quarterback-centric now. Yeah. It's hard to have a championship team without basically one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league. We're seeing it now. Everybody thinks, and I don't like how the national media says, well, this is Josh Allen's chance because Mahomes isn't in there and Burrows isn't in there and Jackson isn't in there. Well, the young guys that are in there as quarterback are pretty darn good. They're on their way up. And the team that Josh has around him right now is not the team he had when he lost in overtime to the Chiefs in Kansas City or even last year. They've gotten a lot out of what they have on that roster.
They have. And I like what I see to a certain point. There's no doubt our defense has to continue to get better, and they can. It's not like, they are only where they're at now. If they get a couple guys back and get guys that, were bumped up before a little bit healthier, I think they're going to make a good run. They've done a good job so far, but it all comes down to number 17.
It's Ed Oliver's practicing this week. It'll be interesting to see if he'll be ready to go. We'll see if Harrison can come back. Now, but this is something I want you to comment on because you played the game, and I don't think fans quite understand. It's not like a race car. You put them back out on the track, that car's 100%. If you've been out in Oliver's case for the season, you don't just step back in there after 4 days of practice.
No, you don't. I mean, it helps that you get back for those practices. And, of course, just like anything, I mean, it's playoffs. There's guys out there, most of the guys that play are not 100%. Right. Most guys go out there. Some of them have practice just because they feel they have to. I guarantee you there's so many players out there that are not 100%. But that's just the way it is. It's football. If you weren't going to get out there, you need to find another sport. Football is a tough game. You play with bumps and bruises. You play with hurt, a lot of pain. But that's just part of playing football.
Well, a lot of guys play with life-shortening injuries. I mean, you look at how many NFL players don't live to to have the gray hair because of the. Thank God you're with us.
No hair.
Denver. So the Broncos offensively are not the threat that Jacksonville was, but their defense is probably better. They lead the league in sacks. Now, Josh Allen, we took care of Denver pretty well in the second half last year when they came to town. But one of the differences going out there, and I want you to comment on it, how does that altitude affect the players when they show up at that stadium?
I don't think it'll be. I mean, personally, I don't remember ever playing as far as when it was really cold weather. The humidity probably won't be the same. Fourth quarter is when it really kicks in, but I don't know as far as when it's real chilly outside how that will affect them. And I'm sure as the time goes on, if for long drives that Denver has, I'm sure it will tire out the defense to a certain point. And when you're talking about Denver's defense, yeah, they're very good. They rush the passer. I think the key in that one is getting rid of the football. Get more of the crossing patterns underneath. Don't go back and having to set your feet at 10, 11 yards every single time you drop back, because if you start doing that, the defensive ends, trust me, they know exactly the depth of the quarterbacks, what they take in their drops. They know when they're rushing and they're going against, Dawkins or whoever it might be, Brown, that they're pushing and trying to get Josh to step up. And if you have a good guy up front, or you got the linebackers are coming after you or blitzing, they're going to try to make sure Josh stays in that pocket. And because, as we all well know, Josh makes some of his best plays once he's outside that pocket. But I think one of the keys in this game is Josh getting rid of the football, stick to that short passing game early on, get some crossing routes in there, get some pick plays that you don't do the pick, but you try to make it so you get by there, a guy can maybe run away from somebody. We don't have the great speed that we would love to have outside, but the overall thing is Josh has to get rid of the football and can't afford to have him hold on to it and take the hits that every quarterback will take if you hold on to the ball.
I thought their running game was a little bit predictable against Jacksonville. And, you get to the playoffs, these teams have studied every nuance that you have, and they know what to look for. But they're going to have to get Cook unleashed in that game, because if they can run the ball, they'll take a lot of pressure off of the pass rush.
And the good thing is, I don't know so much their offense or what they look or how much Josh is allowed to audible. I'm sure he is. A lot of times I would like to see him under center and have a Cook behind him 6-7 yards and have him be able to make that cutback. Get up to the line if you see something, which I always knew which side to run Thurman, because if I thought when we did the no huddle, I'd call one play. If I came up to the line getting ready, I saw the defensive, I would just say opposite, and Thurman would go the opposite way, and the offensive line knew where he was going. Because you always know, and Cook is very good at this too, his cutbacks. And when you're able to, visualize this, when you're behind the center, and you're able to get that ball, you visualize your peripheral vision is a lot better when you're in eye and you're not getting handed the ball off to the side when Josh is in shotgun. So it should be interesting to see what happens, but they cannot rely on 17 the whole game, because Cook's going to have some yards in order for these guys to be able to put some points on the board.
I was surprised the Bills are the favorite going into this game.
Not by much.
No, well, they were the favorite against Jacksonville. Yeah. When you look at the teams and you look at where they're playing and they're on the road, that is a surprise. Though I know the odds makers, a lot of it has to do with where they think the money's going to go, not necessarily who they think is the favorite. But, it just amazes me. And you went through this, and Thurman went through this, and certainly Andre went through this. Buffalo is a small media market.
Yep.
There's a lot of the national guys who don't want to give Josh Allen the credit. They begrudgingly give him the credit. You lived that. The New York City markets, the LA markets, they want their guys to be on top. And it's just amazing that how many times does a player like Allen have to redeem himself for them to say, oh, well, gee, he really is pretty good. Come on.
Bottom line is, media will be media. And I don't even want to get into that, because sometimes it just ticks you off when you put TV on. But they're just looking for him to make the Super Bowl, period. I've heard so many times I just want to punch people, which of course I won't, but it's just a figure of speech. They just want to see him get to the big game and win it, hopefully. Bottom line is, mentally, as far as being a player, and especially a quarterback, you take it. I know it's an old cliche, you take it one game at a time, but boy, that's how you have to do it. You have to study the game the team that you're playing against. You have to utilize all the mental parts of the game of preparing yourself for that time of the game. But media can do that because it's after the fact. Right. After the game's over, you say this. Before this game even starts, it's just part of being a sports.
It's worse now than when you played because the social media it's a huge factor.
Yeah.
I mean, now you have people literally with zero credentials doing it out of their basement who get a lot of views because they just say stupid, outrageous things. I mean, the certified media, and I'm sure you would have felt back in your day that there was a couple of knuckleheads in that group. Not me, of course. But there are people today who just generate clicks, views, whatever you want by just saying the most outrageous things. But those words spread a long way. They hurt.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, and that's the thing with now players. You have to get yourself away from reading all that stuff. Which, excuse me, most of the time I did the same. But you hear from friends, you hear from other people. But with the way things are nowadays, with AI and all that, you have no idea what's real, what's not real.
Exactly.
But the thing is, being a professional athlete, you just have to go out there each and every week. You have to prepare yourself, and may the chips fall where they may. And you just hope that everybody is on the same page as far as mental preparation. I mean, physical preparation is part of it. You have to be out there. If you're going to win, you have to have your star players healthy. You have to have them on the field. But mental preparation, you want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
I'm not going to ask you if you think the Bills are going to win because I understand, what are you going to say, right? How do you see the rest of the weekend playing out? How do you? I mean, the Houston Texans are going to New England. I tell you what, New England's got to be shaking their head seeing what the Texans did last night to Pittsburgh.
Put it this way, they were all pulling for Steelers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, boy. I can't, unless New England plays an air-free game, which I don't think they will. If Stroud does what he does and that defense continues to put pressure on, especially a young quarterback, I see Houston being the team to beat at the end.
Let's switch gears. A lot of people can compare you with Josh Allen. There's some similarities to your game. I know one difference.
Which one?
When you came to town, you were out and about. Josh, I don't know where Josh goes. He's not seen anywhere. There's never, especially with social media and paparazzi, you don't catch him anywhere. He's pretty buttoned up as far as what his social life is. I mean, there's a big difference between how you, and of course you were the cover boy. I mean, we don't have enough time.
Back then.
Yes, you were single back then. Yes, you were. And you took advantage of being single back then. You were, if there was a pretty girl in town, she was going to be on your arm at some point. But those were
easy.
That was a long time ago. But Allen really is mentally or whatever, however you want to say it. He approaches it so much differently, not just than many of the quarterbacks that are at his level.
Well, you got it right. Social media. Guarantee you, if all this stuff was back when I played, I wouldn't have been out and having as much fun as we all did. Not just me, but all of us. There's no doubt that definitely has a big impact on what you do with your life away from the field and the meeting rooms. But hey, it's the world we live in today, and you just have to know what you have to do and what you can't do, and you go with that.
I had another question I want to ask you because I'm watching the games over the weekend, watching last night. So often, and I don't remember this back in the 90s, so many questionable catches. How many passes did you throw to Andre Reed or James Lofton or Don Beebe or whoever where they're half on the ground and the ball? I just remember them continuing the catch after the catch, the run after the catch. Are they throwing the ball differently? Are they looking for different spots to throw the ball because of the defense? What's your take on that?
I think it's pretty much the same. Every quarterback's different on how they read defenses, and you just try to make the big play. I think sometimes we try to make the big play too much instead of taking what they give you. I lived with that thought process. Take what they give you. When you start taking what they give you, that draws the linebackers to stay a little closer to the line of scrimmage, and then you find a deep square, and you find the comeback, you find the long ball. But when it comes to that, I don't think it's changed that much, really, personally. I think it's just a matter of who you have out there, what confidence you have in your receivers. You realize, like Andre, is if you ever watched, I like to have Andre inside. Andre was a lot better receiver inside because he was so quick off the ball that it was hard for whether it was a nickelback or a second to corner covering him. But when he was outside, I preferred having James Lofton and Don Beebe wide out and having Andre inside because I knew nobody could cover him inside. Right. He was so quick. So it depends on who your guys are in the confidence level.
I just don't remember that many contested catches. I mean, did the ball hit the ground?
Right here.
Exactly.
No, shit. Oh, sorry.
It's all right. So we're going to wrap this up, but you went through a season where you had to do more reminiscing than most seasons because of the final season in Highmark Stadium, Ralph Wilson Stadium, Rich Stadium. What was that like for you? Do you get tired of going back and talking about the good old days?
No, I mean, talking about it, maybe reminiscing, no, because I have 5 brothers and I have a lot of friends that continue to send me pictures of things back in the day and all the memories it brought. All the memories that it brought me knowing all the people that I got to know here in Buffalo, not just my teammates, but friends that were part of my life back then. And how back in it, as you well know, when we used to have Colton RV, I mean, we still, as a matter of fact, we still have it every single Sunday. And having my mom and dad driving to RV, the motorhome, every game up to Buffalo when we got home games, and the people that they would bring with them, and just the memories of where we parked. And I'd walk from after the game was over, I'd walk out of there, and Big Ed, you remember Big Ed, he would walk me from the tunnel up to the motorhome, and I would sign autographs the whole way out there, and all the fun times we had, and the memories that will live on forever, and I will never forget them. And I not only loved them back then, I love them now. And to know that stadium won't be there, and it's not just from that standpoint. I've had a football camp for kids for going on 38 years, and for majority of them have been right here. And to have kids be able to go into that stadium knowing from their parents or grandparents what we did back in the day, but also some of the kids knowing that Josh Allen and James Cook and some of the guys from the past who played the game in Buffalo were on that field. I mean, back when I was growing up, I was a Steeler fan. And I was in Three River Stadium one time, and that was when I was in punt, pass, and kick. And how exciting that was to me, knowing that my idols growing up, the guys I looked at, Jack Lambert and Jack Ham and Terry Bradshaw and Franco, they all played on this field.
Right.
And all that will be gone. But it's history, and it's part that I love. I reminisce about it. But, I'll miss the games, but I look forward to the new stadium.
Last week I talked about, I was a little critical as I thought after the final game, I thought the players should have stayed out there, maybe walked the wall and high five and all that. But then I was told after we did the podcast that security was concerned the fans were going to rush out onto the field.
I thought so too.
Yeah, and they wanted to get the guys off there, which didn't occur to me. We haven't seen that since your days. And I think it happened once, and I remember Bill Pulling was ready. After that, he had mounted cops out there and dogs. Bill didn't want anybody on that field, especially ripping up the turf. But anyway, that was it. You were out there. It was memories, and now a brand new stadium, and new memories are going to be made for the next generation.
Without a doubt, it'd be good to end this one, and I can say this now because I don't play. Good one would be able to end this year with a Super Bowl victory. Let's bring that Lombardi Trophy back to Buffalo.
That'd be something.
Yep, that's for sure.
Jim, thanks so much for coming out. We're in a new year. I'm great. I'm so glad that everything's good at home. Yeah. The family's good. Your head. What does Jim Kelly do in the spring? I know what you do in the fall. What does Jim Kelly do in the spring?
Turkey hunt. To be honest with you, I travel a lot now. I still speak all over the country. Thank the good Lord for that. I try to, when I travel, to be a difference maker for families and people out there. Because when I speak, it's usually in front of a large audience, and because nowadays there's so many things going on in this world, and too many people giving up. And I pray that every time that I speak, that somebody will look and want to see tomorrow. So as you well know, my saying is, make a difference today for someone who's fighting for their tomorrow. Because there's too many people here that don't want to see tomorrow. And as long as my words can enhance their mental approach to the next day and want to give them more days in their life to share with their families, then I realize why the good Lord put me here, that I'm still here and I'm walking in the face of the earth right here in Buffalo, New York.
And we got to give a shout out to your lovely wife, Jill, because everything you went through, she was right there with you.
And she's been right there from start to finish. And now with Bo, when he was going through all of his issues, she was right there every single minute of the day with our daughter, Erin. And but you know what? Just a smile that I see on his face all the time. But you know what? The smile inside my heart for my wife and all what she has meant to my life, and now what she means to our kids' life, there's nothing else I could ever have prayed for. She is a living, lovely lady that has made me who I am today, that has helped me be the person I am today. And of course, I'm still here for a reason, because I'm going to continue, hopefully, make a difference for other people.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much for coming out. Always great. Always great.
Buddy.
The great Jim Kelly, and that's going to wrap up this edition of Nuff Said with yours truly. Next week, Tyler Dunn, and that should be interesting. If you know who Tyler Dunn is, you've got to watch. We want to thank Chef's Restaurant. We want to thank WEC Radio. Until next week, have yourself a great night and a much better tomorrow.